So, it has been a while, and of all games that we're playing, we are going to be playing Plague Inc. But we're not just playing any Plague Inc. scenario. I'm going to be showcasing my custom scenario, and I'm essentially just going to give kind of a rundown. And I'm going to be saying everything to those of you who like to listen instead of watch. So that you know what's going on without having to actually read. So, my scenario is called Ingrown Everything. The description says, my irrational fear of ingrown toenails taken to an unrealistic extreme. Will humanity prevail? This is actually loosely based on an actual fungal infection, but it's not super common unless you're immunocompromised. And I'm still balancing it a little bit. It could honestly be better balanced, I feel like, but I'm still working on it. And then, just a good, nice warning is that there is some body horror, of course, as maybe the scenario name implies, and the symptoms get intense quickly. This is my first scenario. This took me several hours over the course. Like, it took like 2 days, like of off and on, like balancing. Everything is fully customized. The transmissions, the systems, the abilities. There's even a few custom events. Now, I don't have the gene that I recommend playing with, but I'm still going to beat this without the recommended gene just to prove that it can, in fact, be done. It is a fungal disease, and I'm going to be using. Let's see what I want to use. Let's use Metal Dog Jump, and then Zero File, and Ionized Helix. Now, I do probably recommend Genetic Mimic, and the infectivity would probably be best if you were to do either Aquasite or Aerosite. Potentially Native Biome would also work, but I would argue that it's pretty good if you already have Zero File and you start in Saudi Arabia. You could also do Extremophile, that would also work. Usually I play with Ionized Helix, but I would recommend, because I don't have Symptostasis, but I would most definitely recommend getting Symptostasis or Transstasis, because those are what's going to kind of bottleneck you, because those get expensive. But we are just going to do Ionized Helix. I believe this is able to be done on Brutal. I'll go ahead and try doing Brutal for this showcase, just to prove that it can be done. But so far, I've only been able to win it on normal difficulty. That is not to say that it is impossible. Now, this is the name of the plague. It's called Candida albicans. This is a real fungal infection that you can get. Stay safe. Welcome to Ingrown Everything. Ingrown Everything is a what-if scenario based on my IRL fear of ingrown toenails fade extreme. Have fun. Where will your small Where will your small weak fungus begin its journey to excellence? Hopefully I can edit that out. So we are going to start in Saudi Arabia, and let me just give a little showcase. Now hopefully the game audio is not too loud, and if it is, I will try. So we start off with humans as a transmission vector. Due to humans' tendency for incorrect foot care, we are susceptible to ingrown toenails caused by fungal infections. Now I'm going to actually turn down the audio a little bit, because it does seem a little bit loud for what we're doing here. Okay, that's already a lot better. So at our hands, we have windswept spores for 7 DNA. The fungal spores can survive being carried by wind for short distances. This is what I'm going to go for as soon as I get enough DNA once I unclause. Surface water spores. The fungal spores can survive on the surface of water and loosely stick to ship holes. I'm going to probably avoid that until I can get the second level of air. Then we have rodents for 8 DNA. Forgot to say that surface water spores is 7 DNA. But the first level of rodents is rodents that live in urban areas are more likely to carry fungal spores in their fur, urban, poor, and rural. I had to add these transmissions to the rodents because the wealthy and rural um, transmissions that we know of, like pets and livestock, are unlocked after this one because that is how this progresses. Because it makes a lot of sense in my opinion. So our first blood transmission is called wounds. Infected individuals can transfer fungal spores from open wounds, poor and wealthy. The reason it's and wealthy is because when you get a ingrown toenail treated, they typically have to like surgically alter the toenail. Um, so obviously we have our spore burst. For some reason, this spore burst line that I have made is like weirdly bugged. I haven't been able to figure out why, but there's only a few spore bursts. You don't have like a whole bunch. For some reason, the last couple are unattainable, and I'm not sure why. Now, for the cold, hot, and drug resistance, we have frosted spores. Yummy. The fungal spores integrate sulfuric compounds into their structure, which combust on a microscopic scale to keep them warm. I made that up. I'm gonna be honest. I made that up. And then heated spores. The fungal spores integrate microscopic ice crystals within their structure to keep themselves cool in hot environments. I also made that up. A lot of this I just made up, obviously. And then we have the antifungal resistance. For symptoms, we start out with obviously the ingrown toenail. Fungal infection causes the nail to thicken and deform as cells rush to try and repair it, which results in ingrown toenails. Gives a little bit of infectivity, very minimal severity. And then after this, we have the opportunity to get fungemia. This is when you get a fungal infection in your blood. You can actually get this. This is a real disease, although it's very, very uncommon. Essentially, the ingrown toenail pierces the skin of the toe, causing spores to enter the bloodstream. I imagine that is how it could happen. Let's go ahead and unpause and let ourselves spread around a bit. We are obtaining DNA as we do this, and we just got some more. So we'll go ahead and get windswept spores. And then after this is air-conditioned spores. The fungal spores can survive being carried by wind for long distances and now survive air filtration in planes. They already had plane transmission for the first level, but I just wanted to clarify that for the second level, just to ensure it was understood. So let's go ahead and get rodents. After rodents, we unlock pets for the wealthy transmission. Aggressive rodents attack pets, transferring the infection. And then we also have rodents too. The fungal spores now directly infect the rodents, making bites and scratches a form of transmission, better urban and poor transmission. So after pets is going to be livestock, and there's an interesting mechanic there that I will get into once I unlock it. So now we're just kind of waiting for our DNA to build up. I really do recommend just saving your DNA early on for these transmissions, and then letting yourself spread. So here we go, we've got a good infectivity. We're just kind of waiting for more DNA. It's like we just got into the Middle East, which is pretty good. It is a little bit slow at first, DNA-wise, but it will quickly ramp up. Now it looks like we have... I don't know why it gave that pop-up, because it says we have not been noticed. Looks like we just got into Iran. Surprisingly, no Iraq yet. And we just got fungemia for free, which is interesting. So after fungemia is a major sort of branch. This is where everything starts to go wrong. Vasodilation. The fungal spores begin to attach to red blood cells and release chemicals that dilate vessels to spread easily through the circulatory system. Now, we have a little tiny bit of lethality, obviously, so hopefully that gives us some additional score. And now we are in Mexico, which is urban, which means we'll probably get into the US soon. So let's just go ahead and get the surface water spores. After that is the second level, which is dissolved spores. The fungal spores can now dissolve themselves in water and dry on the hulls of boats, making them covered in spores. Now, I'm not actually sure if fungal spores can induce vasodilation, but it's kind of like a key mechanic here. So, already we've got a low research priority and a couple hundred dead. Like I said, there's a very, very low lethality. Looks like we just got into Egypt and India. So there's a unique mechanic for the rats and blood that I will try and unlock here. Looks like we just got into Russia very early, so let's go ahead and get the frosted spores. After that is the second level, which is frozen spores. The microscopic combustion generated by the sulfur compounds integrate into the spore structure become more efficient, allowing them to resist cold climates better. Again, I have no idea if that's actually biologically possible. I just did it for funsies, because I'm amazing. But you're getting a good spread here. Looks like we're in the US now, so let's go ahead and get drug resistance. After this, obviously, we have the antifungal resistance too, and here is a unique one. Selective dormancy. The spores go dormant in a lab setting, making them more difficult to analyze, decreases future research need. Now, the reason why I recommend getting catalytic switch for this scenario is because they will start trying to cure you very early before you can get the custom win condition. Because yes, there is a custom win condition. So let's go ahead and get antifungal resistance 2, cold resistance 2. What I really recommend is going for all 3 levels of structure complexity, which is this custom. The spores integrate basic geometry into their inner structure. More work needed to develop here. This, like I said, will go into 3 different levels. I recommend getting all 3 levels if you want to win this scenario on Brutal. So let's go ahead and get dissolved spores, and after this it's spore barnacles and fangs. I couldn't come up with a better name for the extreme bioaerosol that was a good mix of the air conditioned and dissolved, so I came up with this. The fungal spores can now survive extremely large distances on wind and are harder to remove from ship hulls. If any of y'all have like a suggestion for what I can rename this to, that would be fantastic. Because I'm honestly not a huge fan, not pun not intended, of the meme. So we still got 17 years until the cure, which is fantastic. Let's go ahead and get vasodilation so we can start the path to the win condition. So after vasodilation is malignancy. As the spores continue to utilize the host cells within the body, these cells become malignant and have a tendency to divide excessively. That is, for those of you unaware, what malignancy actually means. And we just got that for free. So after this, we start our path down to the win condition. So we have TMJ. The spores spread to blood vessels at the jaw and settle within the muscle, causing pain and stiffness. And then we also have the opportunity to get thick skin. The spores reach blood vessels and capillaries within the skin. As the cells multiply, the skin thickens and makes vaccines harder to administer. As this implies, this slows down the cure. Subconjunctival breach. Spores reach the vessels within the eyes, causing them to dilate to the point of bursting. As the blood cells multiply rapidly, slows the cure. A little little bit expensive as of right now. Let's go ahead and get selected dormancy. And then after that is selective combustion. Spores self-combust in a lab setting, making them harder to study. There are a few capitalization spacing errors, mostly because the scenario creator is weirdly bugged when it comes to inserting text. I'm going to try and save my spore burst just to make sure that we get into Greenland. So after wounds, the sanitization resistance, fungal spores can now survive with medical equipment even after rigorous sanitization, better wealthy transmission. I'm going to try and get the special blood transmission that I talked about. So, looks like we're kind of struggling over here. Let's go ahead and get structure complexity 1 and 2. Structure complexity 2, the spores integrate advanced geometry into their inner structure, increasing the work needed to develop a cure. Now, the third level is extremely important, which is why I recommend it. Structure complexity 3. The spores integrate non-Euclidean geometry into their inner structure, making the cure near impossible. This is why I recommend getting it as soon as possible if you are playing on Crew, as I am right now. And we just got TMJ for free. Looks like we need some more poor, some more wealthy. So let's go ahead and do rats 2. So after TMJ comes candidal abscesses. Now this is a real ailment that is part of the actual fungal infection that this is based off of very loosely. Spores settle in the blood vessels of the salivary glands, causing them to produce a foul-tasting infective plus super massive infectivity increase. Super massive. Super massive jack. Oh, sorry, it's like a Pavlovian response there. Alright, let's see what islands. Looks like we got into the Caribbean. We need New Zealand, and we still need Greenland. I'm not going to spore burst right now because there are still a lot of countries that could take up. So let's go ahead and get candidal abscesses. After this is hyperdontia. Tumors form in the mouth that resemble teeth. They push against one another, protruding out of the gums and soft palate. Now, this is not what actual hyperdontia is, but this is the hyperdontia I'm using. This is a basically knockoff hyperdontia. Because actual hyperdontia is not tumors, it is actual teeth. But this was the only way I could really argue. Now, we also have the opportunity to get beneath the muscle. I recommend going for this before going for hyperdontia if you actually evolve it instead of getting it from mutations, because as you go down the tree, your mutation chance gets higher, because that is actually how malignancy works, because as they continue to divide more and more excessively, they spread. So this is a little bit lethal, a little bit severe, a little bit infectivity, but it is very important to get to the wing condition. Spores overtake the muscles, spreading the infection to the bones they're attached to. The cells begin to multiply, but bone is much slower than the other cells. That is true. This is why broken bones take so long to heal, essentially. So it looks like we're still struggling to spread in Africa, which is surprising. It is rural, it is poor. So let's go ahead and try and get livestock. Because with livestock, what's special about this is it is a form of corpse transmission in addition to rural. Because carnivores like dogs and cats now attack livestock. They tear them to shreds. So as you can see, that is why it is a form of corpse transmission. So now as you can see, we're spreading a bit more. It's like we got thick skin for free. So it looks like we finally have enough DNA. Let's go ahead and get structure complexity 3. And we're basically on the path to winning. So now we just kind of have to wait. As you can see, cure ETA unknown. If you really wanted a challenge, you could not do this path and instead just do these two selective abilities. So after beneath the muscle is dense muscles, lots of lethality, but it is important for the one condition. So although it is very lethal, I really do recommend getting it, or allowing it to mutate. So dense muscles, the muscles grow excessive fibers as their cells multiply rapidly, the muscles become thick and heavy, decreases cure speed. So this is a way, both these symptoms are ways to show the cure without having to do this strat I'm doing. Now we also have the ability to do, these x-rays don't seem right, very lethal, big lethal, because spores release enzymes that make the bone cells divide extremely fast, much faster than they should. So rib on rib, femur on femur, each and every bone is encumbered by deformed copies of itself, because that's what happens when your cells divide excessively. They make deformed masses. Besides, we got Hyperdontra for free, which means I'm able to showcase this one, which is also pretty lethal. Because this one is called Speaking in Tongues. The muscle cells of the tongue multiply rapidly, forming multiple tongues of varying sizes and mobility. As you can probably assume why this is lethal. Sorry, I just took a drink of water. I had a really massive dry mouth from explaining this. Okay, so we're still really slow on getting into West Africa for some reason. So I'm thinking I need to do Spore Burst, which as of right now it is cheap. It's only 99, so let's go ahead and do that. Just gone to Peru. Let's go ahead and do another Spore Burst. Looks like we got into Morocco doing that. We just got to Ukraine. So we got dense muscles for free. After dense muscles is full of love. Cardiac muscle cells multiply rapidly inside the heart, creating deformed masses within and on top of the heart's ventricles. Super lethal. As you can see, the lethality ramps up really massively towards the end, and that is very important. So I'm gonna let everything kind of spread a little bit. And it looks like we just got into West Africa for free. We still need Bolivia, we still need Sweden, and we still need Greenland. But I'm gonna let everything spread a little bit before I do another Spore Burst. So we're just gonna kind of wait for West Africa to reach critical mass, and there it goes. So let's go ahead and do another Spore Burst. Oh, I'm surprised we didn't have Zimbabwe yet. That's weird. It looked like it had infections. We got subconjunctival breach for free, that's incredible. Because then I can show off this one. My eyes. Cells within the eye begin to multiply rapidly, making new eyeballs of varying sizes which are attached to the original eye. Kind of like in The Substance, I would argue, where her eyes kind of split. Substance spoilers, I suppose. Okay. Still having to do a Spore Burst. So these two cells right here do not exist. For some reason, they will not open, and I'm not exactly sure why. So we still need Sweden, we still need Greenland. This is our last Spore Burst because the affirmation bug. And we might not even have enough DNA here to Spore Burst. So I'm just kind of waiting on DNA and hoping that I roll a nat 20 and get Greenland. So as you can see, I just bought this and I did not get these two cells. Again, I don't know why it does that. Please, Greenland. Okay, sweet. We got Greenland. I'm not sure why Sweden is not infected, considering it's right next to Norway and Finland, which are very infected. And very dead, apparently. Makes sense. So what is Sweden? It's cold, it's wet, it's urban, and it's rich. I have all of those, but sadly I did not implement something like birds or fish that allow for randomized impression of countries. So, yep, there we go. There's critical mass. Oh, that's really lucky. We just got Sweden. That is very, very lucky. Okay, yeah. And these are, like, this is why I recommend getting symptostasis, because this is 26 DNA, this is 26 DNA. Now, I'm hoping that these mutate so that I can show off the win condition, but it seems like we might win before the custom win. Oh, what do you know? Okay, sweet. So now we're just waiting for the other one to get the custom win condition. The custom win condition is not required, it's just another way of winning. So let's see which we get first. The custom or the pre-coded, essentially. Because we need, yeah, we need 26 DNA for that. And it looks like we might win before we get that much DNA, which is a little disheartening, because the custom wing condition is called an amorphous mass. Essentially, it means that humans are no longer functional. They're just these blobs, kind of like, when day breaks. Oh, what do you know? I just got enough, DNA. Yeah, organs upon organs. The malignant muscle cells spread to the organs and rapidly adjust to multiply their cells. Small deformed livers, kidneys, lungs, and more fill the body cavity. Kind of what I was talking about. But yeah, the custom wing condition is essentially the whole world is reduced to blobs, essentially. And a really fun Easter egg in this custom wing condition is that it says that the fungus could potentially keep everyone alive for an indeterminate amount of time. Again, kind of like a when day breaks situation in which humanity is just left to suffer. Um, and the custom win condition, like flavor text, is like humanity has been reduced to nothing or something like that. I'm not sure if it'll show up without the custom. It looks like we have one. Here we go. Yeah, see, this is the custom win screen. A world grown into itself. Every human being is not nothing but a mass of organic tissue. Their fate is unknown, as the fungus could keep them alive forever. And I am going to show the world time lapse. So, yeah, I played. I only got 1 star, 27,000 score. I'm sure you could probably get 3 stars in this, but I'm not exactly sure how, because it is a little bit. It's supposed to be a little bit slow at the beginning. I would say this is pretty fun. Granted, I am the one who created this. I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but I did in fact create this. And I think it's honestly a pretty good scenario for being my first scenario. I'm really impressed with how lucky we got with infecting Sweden at the very end. I was really expecting to lose. It took us over 2 years to kill everyone, so that's probably a big reason as to why we got only one biohazard instead of, you know, two or three. So, yeah, here we go. The whole world is red. Cultural reference, I suppose. And getting close. And boom. That is the whole world dead. And that is my custom scenario in Ingrown Everything. I really do hope that this was entertaining. And, thanks for watching. Bye bye.